hold up. Before you watch this video, you know that game, Fortnite, that damn game everyone's been talking about? Okay, listen up. There's another channel that I recommend for you guys called the O-Storm. If you guys enjoy that game, unlike me, I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for saying that, but yes, feel free to go check out the O-Storm. If you guys really want, I'll play Fortnite eventually, but enough of you need to say it in order for me to do it. But still, anyway, go check them out. Huge Fortnite and PUBG guys, alright? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Hello, what is going on, party people? My name is Twinkle Toes, and welcome back to the Twinkle Order. I have got another guide video for you guys today, and yes, it is over the man with the crazy thighs himself, the Highlander. The Scottish Brigand that was brought in Season 4? Season 3. Sorry, I'm getting my seasons mixed up. But yeah, guys, I'm going to be doing a guide about everything I know about Highlander. Now, I'm going to be doing this guide a little bit differently. Usually I put it into a beginner, expert, beginner, advanced, and expert. I'm going to do this guide a little bit differently. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover all the topics the Highlander can get. So, for example, like base combos, then Celtic Curse, follow-ups, Feints is going to be a section, all this stuff. Just they're going to be in different sections. Now, while I've been talking, I have posted them on the side of the screen for you because I'm probably going to do a lot of sections involving this. So please be sure, though, to comment if you prefer this style of guide or if you prefer the beginner, advanced, and expert style of guides. I want your guys' feedback on these because I'm going to be coming out with many more of these. I'm hoping to get one per class, but let me know which guide you prefer. So without further ado, we are going to get started with the overview of the Highlander. So, the Highlander is a hybrid class that was brought in Season 3. He is a Viking, and like I said, he's gotten a huge buff. I mean, it's not huge, but it is pretty big. See that thing right there? Yeah, that sword used to hit like a stick of butter. Now it actually hits like a really big sword. He has some of the highest damaging attacks in the game. And he's got some pretty decent mix-ups in 2 fighting forms. He's the only person in the game that actually has 2 fighting forms, so it's his own personal thing. Right now, he's sitting at a very good spot. He's either a high B class or a low A class at the moment. I can't tell which one it is, but he's pretty much, I'd say, good for any situation. If you know how to use him, he's good for 1v1, 2v2s, and 4v4s. Anti-ganking's a little bit tricky since his moves, base combo moves, are a little bit limited, but just normal 1v1, 2v2, and 4v4s are really good when it comes to the Highlander. But anyway, guys, I'm going to stop boring you with that, and we're going to get into the first section, which is his base combos. So the Highlander has 3 basic combos. There's a light, heavy. I have no idea how to say that, so I'm not even going to try. Then there's Lowland Slashes, which is a light and a heavy, and then there's the Banshee's Wail, which is a heavy. And good God, does the heavy take out almost all of the person's health in any class they play, basically, if it's landed. Both attacks are landed. But we're going to start out by performing the light, heavy, because I have no idea how to say that. So, done by any direction, and off of his second attack, he gets hyper armor, and off of all his heavies, he gets hyper armor. So he's got a pretty decent hyper armor going on. So if they try to attack you, it's not going to phase him. I mean, you'll get damage, but it's not going to phase him, so the attack will still go through. Next is the Lowland Slashes, which is a light heavy attack. Now, you'll notice in the moveset that all of them say defensive form, so he actually can't use these while in offensive form, but we'll get into offensive form later. His top heavies do 45 damage, which is the highest damaging move in the game when it comes to normal attacks, so just keep that in mind. And now we're going to get into the Banshee's Wail, which is his 2 heavy attacks. Now, his heavies are extremely slow. His first one is very slow. But the second one that comes after it is fairly quick. So, just keep that in mind. Advanced players, you can probably throw some of these out because they won't be expecting it, but if people are parry happy, they're going to expect to catch these with either parries or deflects, so be careful. I'm also going to perform his zone attack, which is performed by doing a light and heavy at the same time, where he'll go into 3 massive swings. Now, these can be cancelled, so you can feint out of the first one or the second one. I would recommend doing this because just throwing them out there, most likely you're going to get parried. So just remember that. You can feint after the first or the second one, or just let all three fly. Now we're going to get into his guard breaks. So the Highlander can do three things, I do believe, off of his guard breaks, and that is a light attack, a heavy attack, and a zone. So the light attack and the zone are the only thing that are confirmed. So do this. Light attacks are always confirmed. And you can even go into your combos if you want. His heavy attacks are too slow though. Any attack from the side or the top will get blocked. And obviously it won't by this bot, but just be sure heavies are not guaranteed off of guard breaks. Just keep that in mind. And you can also do a guaranteed zone off of it. The first hit's guaranteed, but the second hits will not be. So be sure to feint after the first one to save stamina and yourself from getting parried. He can land, though, a top heavy off of a wall splat, so if you grab him and you throw him against a wall, you can do a full top heavy before they can even recover and get that good 45 damage. It says 48, but that's because I think I have gear stats on right now. So be sure to look for your walls and get that massive hit in there. So now we're going to get into a move called a Celtic Curse. Now the Celtic Curse is performed by dodging forward and pressing the heavy attack button. You will gain hyper armor from this attack, and you'll sort of lunge forward and sort of slap him in the face with a sword. So it is heavily telegraphed, but there is a couple things you can do with this. So you can actually switch sides with this. But in order to do this, what you have to do is in the middle of your Celtic Curse, you have to go in either the right or left direction and click heavy attack again. You'll either go left or right, or you can just do the normal one. I advise doing this, but not quite frequently, since if you're playing against advanced players, they will catch on eventually and they will learn. You gain hyper armor off of this, but also it is unique. If you time it right, you can dodge an enemy attack. So that's pretty cool to just negate damage, and you can fully slap him in the face with a good 25 damage. So, and also with this, come Season 5, he got a buff with the Celtic Curse, where you can go immediately into offensive form. And this is performed by going forward with the Celtic Curse and holding the heavy attack button instead of just releasing it. So, and he'll go into his offensive form. We'll get more into offensive form later though. But with the Celtic Curse going to the right and the left, you can do it instantaneously as soon as you do it. That is more telegraphed, or you can actually delay it for a pause of time. This usually throws people off because they'll think you're going for the top, and then you'll just spin into the right one. And you see there's a slight pause there. This is instantaneous. This is a slight pause. You'll get the hyper armor animation, so they'll think you're going forward into the top, but then you'll switch to the side and completely throw them off. For advanced players, I do recommend, though, throwing this out on occasion, because if they start to read you, they'll try to parry your left and right ones, so feel free to throw out that one every once in a while. So now we're going to get into what makes the Highlander the Highlander. His two forms. Defensive form, which we've pretty much covered everything in the decent form except for some feints, which I'll show you later. He has his other form, which is offensive form. It's performed by holding down the heavy attack button. You will not be able to guard while in this stance. You will have to focus on dodges or just canceling back out. How to cancel back in offensive form is simply hitting the feint or cancel button. Either that's B on Xbox or the circle on the PS4. I don't know what it is for PC, sorry. But this form is what makes the Highlander, because he can do a lot with the offensive form. He can also transition it from almost anything he does, which means a light attack. If you just hold the heavy attack, he'll go straight into it. Or a heavy attack. So he'll go straight into it afterwards. He can go into it in pretty much every single attack he does. He can also do it after a Celtic Curse. He can go straight into it, like I was saying, from a Celtic Curse, but he can also do it after the hit. Just go straight into it. So pretty much every attack can transition right into an offensive form stance. So, what can the Highlander do while in this offensive stance? He can't block, right? So what the heck is the use of it? Well, all of his attacks, all of his heavy attacks are unblockable. That's a very, very big one. And he also has two moves, which is called the Caber Toss, I think that's Caber Toss, and the Famaran Kick. These are two moves performed by pressing the guard break button, and I'll demonstrate one for you now. The kick is just performed by doing the guard break button while in offensive form, and you'll lunge forward and kick him in the face. Doesn't do that much stamina damage, but it does do pretty good, decent stamina damage. And then there's the caber toss, which is performed by moving backwards and hitting the guard break button where you'll lunge forward and throw them to the ground. The tracking on this did get buffed, so it pretty much is guaranteed unless you have a good dodge attack or you can read mix-ups from a Highlander. So, now we're going to get into the attacks you can do. So we've covered what sort of guard break stuff you can do. Now, the Highlander on a controller is very weird to handle. Just so you guys know, it is for, I'd say, more advanced players when it comes to the control style. So, I can do a light attack in this, and it comes out very fast. So, it doesn't do that much damage. It does only 10, but it is a good way to sort of catch your opponent off guard, especially if they're not guarding that direction. It comes out very, very fast, and doesn't use that much stamina. So, it's good to do after heavy attack. And speaking of that, we're going to get right into his offensive heavy attacks. So he can do them in any direction, and all it requires you to do is release the button. And he'll go straight into it, and you'll go right into back to defensive form. There is a way to stop this, though, is if you simply go into offensive form, let a heavy fly out, and then hold the heavy attack button back again. You'll go straight back into offensive form. Sorry. You can just keep smacking them in the face if you want, but that won't work for advanced players because they'll get the hang of it and they'll start parrying things, and that's something no one wants, right? His attacks do 40 damage, so they do a lot, especially if you land them. Now, like I'm saying, there's really no change while he's in this. You can just basically infinitely do anything until you're out of stamina. So we can go here and then go straight into a light, all that kind of stuff, go here and go into a kick. So you can just kind of do an infinite combo until you run out of stamina. So, for advanced players, what's a good way to land these attacks? Am I right? Well, I'll give you a couple options. For this, you can get a guaranteed heavy attack. I do believe it's guaranteed, and if it's not, most people just don't know you can parry it, but you have to do it right after a kick. So right after you land a kick, you can get a heavy attack off of anyone because they'll still be recovering from being stunned. That is one way, or you can also get a heavy attack off of a caber toss. Off of a kick and a caber toss, you get both confirmed hits. I like to think they're confirmed because they have never let me down yet once while playing Highlander. So, I guarantee you I know what you're thinking. When it comes to dodges, what can the Highlander do? These things are heavily telegraphed, so I mean, you're going to dodge out of the way, right? Well, I've got a couple tips for you. The first one's actually rather simple, is he has an offensive form taunt, which is this thing right here. He'll sort of lunge forward and just throw his hand out. This is more useful than you will think it is, because people that are dodge happy are, one, going to either dodge as soon as they see movement from the Highlander, or they're just going to stand there, I guess, and take it. But if they're dodge happy, then doing this taunt is a very good thing to do, because that's either going to, one, cause them to dodge, so you can get either a free kick or a free Celtic Curse, or you can cancel out and get a free guard break. So, if your guys are parry or, if they're parry happy or dodge happy, throw this taunt out there, and once you do that, well, they're either going to move, or they're just going to stand there and stare at you awkwardly like you're an idiot. But I can tell you for an instance, this taunt does work very, very well. So, keep that in mind. So, and remember, I told you guys that Highlander is very awkward to control, especially with all the buttons you have to hold down at once. He gets even more tricky because he can do soft feints in his offensive form. Now, if you watch my Centurion guide, a soft feint is where you don't have to hit the feint button in order to do something different. He can feint out his heavies and his kicks. So, while doing a kick, the normal kick looks like this. Now, what you can do is, in the middle of that kick animation, hold back on the move stick and hit the guard break button again, and you will go for it into a Celtic Curse. And if the opponent is trying to dodge out of the way of the kick, they're going to get caught by the caber toss. I'm sorry, I said Celtic Curse earlier. My mind is not with me. So I'll show you guys what it looks like. As you can see, the animation went up, but if you move back and hit the guard break button, you'll go into a caber toss instead of the kick. So this is where things get really janky. He can also feint out of his soft feint out of his heavy attacks. And how you do this is release the button, immediately hold it again, and then hit the guard break button and you'll go into a kick. This is for advanced players or people that really know how to handle their controller. It looks something like this. As you can see, it's very, very tricky. I even have trouble with this sometimes, but if you can time it right, you let go of the heavy attack button, immediately hit the square, hold down the heavy attack button again, and you can get a free heavy off of it. So if you can get really good, you can even do a max level mix-up. And what I mean by that is going for a heavy into a kick into a caber toss. This is very difficult to do, so I'm going to try to perform it for you now. It's performed by doing all the soft feints at once, so you have to go forward in the heavy attack, hit the square button, and then hold back on the square button again to do the caber toss. So it does cost a lot of stamina, but not many people really expect this to happen. So let's see if we can pull it off. As you can see, you guys just saw all of the animations there, and it just went right into a caber toss really, really smoothly. You can see it uses over half your stamina and only one combo, so be very mindful of that. So, just saying, if you want to perform this, it's tricky to do, but if you pull it off, not many people expect it. You can also feint into a caber toss like that. I forgot to mention that, sorry. So now I'm just going to show you something, a combo that I like using while in offensive form. It is a very good combo to keep in mind of, so I'm just going to show it to you guys now. It's performed by doing a kick into a Celtic Curse, a heavy, a second heavy into a kick into a heavy. So it does cost a lot of stamina, but if you have a full bar, you should be able to pull it off and not get exhausted. So you do need a full bar in order to do that combo, but without being exhausted. I mean, you can still do it, but you will get exhausted, and the Highlander exhausted is not a good thing. He doesn't have many ways to defend himself while exhausted, so just keep it in mind. If you want to perform that combo, make sure you have a full stamina bar. And feel free to experiment. Like, see that right there? I was just experimenting. I didn't even mean to put that in the video, but you know what? Feel free to experiment with the Highlander's offensive form. Like I said at the beginning, he's got infinite. It's basically an infinite combo with him until he runs out of stamina. So just be mindful of your stamina while playing Highlander, and you should be pretty good, especially in offensive form. His offensive form scares a lot of people. So before we get into his feints and parry stuff, we're going to go into his running options. Now he's got two running options. One is which to just go forward and simply smack them in the face with two massive swings. That was not it. Hold on. Just run forward and boom, boom. It does 25 damage and then 20 damage. So, and you can't really feint out of it, so I'd be careful, especially if your opponent is parry happy. Only use this really in 4v4s. I wouldn't use it in 1v1s or 2v2s. You can also perform a guard break when running up to somebody, so I mean, that's always an option too, but yeah, he doesn't have many running options besides those two. So with that, we're going to get into some feint games that he can do. So, I like to think Highlander has 3 feints, and that's out of his heavy attacks, his just normal heavy attacks, his offensive form heavy attacks, and he can cancel out of his Celtic Curse, I mean, it's offensive form, really fast. So he's got 3 feints. He can cancel out of his normal heavies, especially out of the second one that comes out really fast. If your opponent's parry happy and you just throw out an attack and do this, you can catch him with a guard break if they're close enough. So keep that in mind for parry happy people, to just feint the second heavy or feint the first one and try to go for a guard break if they're close enough. But I don't know if the range is messed up or what, but always keep that in mind. He can also feint his offensive form heavies, so say you could just let one fly and then let another one go and just feint out of it. You can even cancel this into a guard break. You can just go infinitely, like say just throw 3 and then feint this one and then go into a guard break. So he can feint his offensive ones and normal heavies. Now, many people don't consider this a feint, but I do, and that's just canceling right out of offensive form. So say if you go into your Celtic Curse into offensive form, cancel right out of it and go into a guard break. That can actually throw off a lot of people, and I use it quite frequently. And they're not expecting it, because they're expecting one of those orange foots or a grab to come out of nowhere. But if you cancel it into a guard break, it's a good way to catch someone off guard. Not a lot of people expect it. See, the reticle, your block reticle, I don't even think registers by the time you cancel out and guard break them, but I don't really know. So, but all I know is that does work a lot. So just go into offensive form, and if they're close enough, go right into a heavy attack. I don't know why, but she's not close enough for me to do that. But I have done that with people, so just keep that in mind, to just cancel right out of offensive form into something else. So feel free to feint into light attacks if you want. As you see, just feint out of the offensive form or just feint out of a normal heavy. All of that sort of stuff. But that is pretty much all the feints he has. He doesn't have a lot of feints, and he relies more on his offensive game than he does anything else. So, but if you want to mix it up while in defensive form, just throw the feints out there. Just try to mix it up with your feints. So, on to Highlander's parries now. He has 2 options when it comes to, I guess, parrying attacks. He can actually do crushing counter strikes from each direction, or he can just do normal parries. The crushing counter strike is performed exactly like a parry, but it's what used the light attack, and you have to be more precise with it than a parry. So he can be done from any side, when you lunge forward and do about 30 damage. But unlike the Warden, it can be done from any side of the guard. Now, his parries, on the other hand, he can't get a lot out of his heavy attack parries. The only thing he can get is a light attack, or he can go straight into offensive form. Those are the only thing he can really get off of heavy parries, but off of his light attack parries, a lot of you probably think he can get a heavy attack. He actually cannot get a heavy attack off of any of his parries. He can get an offensive heavy attack, but that is about it. Now, with his bot, it probably won't throw many lights at me, and I suck at parrying lights anyway. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like, but with a heavy parry, where you go straight into offensive form, just throw out the unblockable attack. So that can only be guaranteed with light attack parries, though. Don't go rushing in with the heavy attack parries thinking you can get one of those offensive things off, because you cannot. But like I'm saying, bots like this don't usually throw out a lot of light attacks, and I suck at parrying light attacks, so just keep that in mind. Light parries can go into the offensive form heavy, not heavy parries. For heavies, I recommend using the crushing counter strike more than parries anyway. It does good damage, and if you can time it right, unlike I'm doing, it is actually safer than parries, because one, the attack comes out quicker, so even if they do feint the attack, it's going to either mess them up. Not a lot of people will parry it, is what I'm saying. But some advanced will parry it, so be careful. So I'm feeling free to bring this up, which is Exhaustion Punish. There's not many ways to exhaust your opponent besides parrying. He doesn't have that many moves involving stamina damage, so parrying is pretty much one of the only options that's going to really get your opponent out of stamina. And now, when your opponent's out of stamina, if you manage to guard break them and throw them to the ground, the only thing the Highlander can get is a heavy attack. And I'd recommend a top heavy attack. Sometimes what I do is I'll go into offensive form right after into a light. I don't know if that's guaranteed, though. What I do know, though, is what's guaranteed is that top heavy attack when you throw your opponent while they're exhausted. I'm going to have a hard time doing that, though, because even against that Raider, he didn't get exhausted very often. So just saying, while they're exhausted, and if you manage to toss them to the ground, land that top heavy attack for a good 45 damage. Overall, it's a really good exhaustion punish, even for only one move. So just keep that in mind. If you do manage to get your opponent out of stamina, top heavy when you throw them down is the best way to go. And alrighty, guys, that is all I have come to learn about Highlander. his mix-ups, like I was saying, he is primarily an offensive character. I would say he's not that good at defense except when it comes to crushing counter-strikes. But some advice for playing the character as a whole. In order to really play this character, you have to be good whether on the controller or keyboard you're using, because it involves holding a lot of things, mixing things up. It's just, you need to get friendly with your controller and to really order to play good with this character. That's pretty much the only advice I can give when it comes to this character, and just try to mix up your offensive form. Highlander's main damage output is on his offensive form. With all of his mix-ups and everything, it's a very great way. So I will tell you right now though, some counters for the Highlander are Kensei. Kensei is a huge one because of his dodge attack. So in order to prevent this, what I would do is use that taunt. A lot of Kenseis will just wait for you to move and then they'll dodge because they know you can't block off of a offensive stance. So use that taunt, and as soon as you see them dodge, cancel out of it and just do a crushing counter strike or parry their dodge attack. So that's one advice I can give to you. But besides that, just mix it up. In all honesty, get friendly with your controller, mix it up, and you will have Highlander down in no time. And like I'm saying, guys, like I always say in every video, practice. Practice is what makes your character in this game. And Highlander, trust me, requires friendliness with the controller and a lot of practice. But anyway, guys, if there's anything I have missed, feel free to comment it down below, because I'm still even learning this character. I know almost everything about him, but if there's something I didn't mention in this video, feel free to comment down below. I am always open to your guys' feedback. So like I'm saying, one guy even said I look stupid walking around in a circle, but you know what, I like walking in circles, but you know, it's whatever. I mean, people are entitled to their own opinions. But yeah, guys, I really like the feedback, so please sure to comment if I missed anything, or if you just want to say hi. I mean, I've had tons of people just come and say hi, and I'm not friends with them. So, but anyway, guys, that is all I've got for you. Be sure to subscribe, though. We are close to 100 Twinkle Order. We are close to 100 subs. And I'm not planning on stopping there, but I will be coming out with a montage as soon as we hit 100 of all my main classes. So you have that to look forward to. We are so close, guys. I think we can do it. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love all of you, and always remember, the sky is blue.